Fire Giant team. Jermaine pick up 2 though.
He's already found 2 here, and he's gonna roll forward. He's gonna look for Arkle, 1 versus 3, switching over to Nico, and he finds it. Triple kill coming out for Jermaine. It's gonna be a quadra for Jermaine, and he wants it all.
But he can't go into the tower. No, listen, will tag for him. Run, Jermaine, run. He's looking for the penta. Will he get it? Jermaine got a penta kill.
Oh, reset.
Monster gets 1. He's looking for another, but they're all full health at the moment. He goes down for the second. 3, but it's not enough damage to bring down Jermaine.
Shadow Nightmare still alive for now. He's gonna run in, and he snipes Jermaine. Triple kill coming up.
Keep going. Oh, Fafnir.
Segment secured, but Elevate looking for the fight afterwards. Cherio smacks Jermaine with the ult. Cherio smacks Moga with a hammer, and everybody else still in the target. For the jungler, Zelia able to answer back. Finally, double kill for the solo lane as well. It's a 2 for 2, both of them on a single play.
Stick though, and things was turned around on Cubo. 1 member dead, 2 members dead, correction. And now we've got Lobster on very little health. He could fall down here as well.
He can't live at all, and that's gonna be a double kill for Suntouch.
Kill him! Oh, Cubo, kill Cubo, just kill Cubo.
That respect.
Come on, that's not respect. That's stupid.
Shout outs to both teams here.
Number 1 seed's on the line,
It's
man.
actually
I don't have
totally,
Tori in here, honestly.
that's a lot of respect
Just
show for
nuke
both
him,
teams.
please! Frosty X gonna come in to defend this one. Fear no evil, and the Fire Giant goes to Dignitas.
But here's the counterattack from Segment, and Darnaz gets dropped. 2 kills, 3 kills for Dark Dodo.
It's all about the Zeus damage right now.
Shadow Nightmare with the ultimate all the way down Broadway. 1 for him, 1 for Mogao as he answers back against the solo laner. But it's 3 for the mid lane on her. Battling, life stealing. Not going to be enough as Cubo Fred shuts him down. And Cubo Fred takes Mogao to town as well. Double kill. Oh my god!
I'm just gonna murk it up here.
More again, the snipe absorbed.
Who jumps over the wall?
Looking for the Phoenix, it's Jermaine, I'll tell a lie.
Look at
He
how
wants
deep
another
world that it
double
is.
kill. Dark Dodo will get it. Looking for the triple kill. Jermaine will get it. Looking for the quadra. Not this time, no, calm down.
That was then, and this is now. Group A is in the past, and Group B is on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to hi-rez Studios, where we're playing host to 4 North American teams this time around. I'm joined by Anatoly, as you well know, and my new friend Taco. We're going to sit here for today and discuss at least 4 teams, like I said. We've got Luminosity, Eager, and 2 more on the table, Allegiance and Noble. Of course, these teams are all battling it out to get to Super Regionals, and that's just a second step along the way. It's all about the final shot. It's going to be Worlds, and that's where you can get your own tickets, hi-rez.expo.com.
It's going to be interesting to see Luminosity versus Eager in this very first set. A lot of history between the rosters within these players, specifically the 200 players.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 guys have been some of the most iconic players in the world. You know, not a lot of the casual crowd will recognize every single player, but if you say Zapman and if you say BaRRaCCuDDa, you'll absolutely know who these guys are. I mean, Taco, you've seen them play in and out. Different styles, too, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting also seeing how their styles, if anything, a lot of people kind of see BaRRaCCuDDa as the old Zapman with that aggressive playstyle. And here we can see, you know, LG Eager going to be kicking things off today, and it's definitely going to be pretty spicy in that duo lane. And then following into that, we've got the ALG Eager matches, which is also going to be another spicy rivalry coming in.
Yeah, a lot of nice storylines along the way. Like we said, the 2 headhunters on top with game number 1, and then Allegiance versus Eager, just 2 of the stream teams coming together. We'll follow up that with the doubleheader for Noble, previously known as Randozo's. Luminosity and Noble will go head-to-head, and then, of course, Allegiance will take on Noble to sort of wrap up the day as well. But like I said, Toli, we're starting off with Luminosity versus Eager. You're a longtime member of the Eager squad, now rotating over here, and I mean, the Luminosity guys also have been, for the most part, just sort of legacy members of the Smite Pro scene. What can you tell me about both of these squads?
Just a lot of rich LAN experience between these 2 rosters. We see JeffHindla and BaRRaCCuDDa now, specifically out of Luminosity, and they have newer players right now. Mass was banned for about a year now, coming back, so he's relying on about the LAN experience between that dual lane, trying to get back. Even though he has a lot of competitive experience, he needs more of that like LAN experience from the dual lane, trying to help him feel more at home.
Absolutely, and when it comes down to it, he's got a lot of players to sort of lead the charge. Like we said, Zapman and BaRRaCCuDDa, two of the more iconic players, also some of the more experienced guys. I mean, they've been here at LAN a number of times, and they've been able to really bang out a lot of different stats. This, of course, is during the regular season. 7 wins for BaRRa and 6 for Zapman, but when it comes down to it, what impresses me is the KDA is almost identical.
Yeah, Zap's always been that hunter that's known for his aggressive playstyle, but really in this past split especially, we've seen him coming out as more of a passive hunter just to try and help his team synergize better and try and coordinate with them to try and bring it over as like a whole group effort rather than him trying to go for the individual effort. And I think that's a really interesting playstyle for him to have pretty much 180 switched from how he used to be.
He definitely matured a lot over the years. He first started off being that flashy type hunter player that always wanted to make the big plays on the big screen, but now he's learned from his mistakes. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. So now he's developed a different style, like you mentioned, being a little bit more passive. He's very comfortable on the Chronos specifically. And now BaRRaCCuDDa, he's more kind of switched his role as well. He used to be more of the passive and the farm-oriented, but now this split on the online phase, he's been the one making the flashy plays.
You know, it's interesting. I got to sit down with Zapman for about 2 hours yesterday, and I've spoken to BaRRaCCuDDa my fair share of times. And, you know, Zapman basically said, you know, I had to calm it down to allow my team to sort of surge forward. And BaRRaCCuDDa's response, and Zapman said, a lot of things in my life made me realize that I had to sort of make that change. And BaRRa said the exact same thing. He said, look, you know, I have to come together and realize that for my team to win, I have to play a certain style. And the biggest thing that I took away from it was, BaRRa said, look, just don't have no fear anymore.
No fear at all. He's so happy. Look at him, just smiling and giggling, having a good time before
Well, that's
the
classic.
That's what you have to do. You have to feel really comfortable going into this very important first game of the first set.
Yeah, I think it's crucial, especially for BaRRa, to come out as like that leader position for his team because, you know, like we've mentioned, they have 3 players who have never been to LAN before. Xeno, Mast, and ScaryD are all going to really be relying on BaRRa and Jeff to really lead their team to victory, if anything.
You're going to have those secondary leaders, though, in all honesty. Like we said, Zapman is who we've been focusing on here for Team Eager, but they've got djpernicus there as well, who is their in-game leader. And also, he's been playing pro gaming. He's been playing pro games for a while. Before Smite came Counter-Strike, and he was there many, many LANs. Counter-Strike back in the day, 1.6, was all LANs for the most part. So he's got a lot of that behind his belt. And Luminosity, you talk about BaRRaCCuDDa a lot. You got to bring up JeffHindla. We are, I'd say, 50 feet away through a couple of curtains and a couple of doors. We're going to hear JeffHindla all the way over here. That's a big deal. So got to keep that in mind with respect to the rookies. Picks and bans are out, however. Susano and Jingwei banned out by Team Eager, and Terra and Cirquet banned out by Luminosity.
And Team Eager are going to go ahead and luck in that Ratatoskr as well, which, you know, this isn't a definite jungle pick either. We've seen Divios on this Ratatoskr. It's definitely a viable flex pick for Team Eager, and I think it's really interesting how these teams are opting to try and take away these comfort picks, because Circuit's definitely a comfort for Mask, and same thing for Susano on the teams.
Yeah, it's actually, we saw Ratatoskr banned against Team Eager a number of times during the regular season. That was one of the strategies that people took against Eager, because both DJ and Divios, like you said, even before the rework, they were the only 2 guys that played this character, and then he got completely changed around, and they still stuck to the Rat, so certainly an option. And then Luminosity with Soul. BaRRa's basically played 2 gods the entire fall split, Soul being one of them.
And Jingwei was the other, which is why Eager recognized this and banned it away. So I like their strategy. And surprisingly enough, Eager are hovering over Freya right now. We haven't seen Zapman really play Freya a lot. He's been very successful with the Chronos in the online split, winning all 4 of his games that he's played, 22 kills, 1 death, and 25 assists.
We actually had this discussion maybe 5 minutes ago, Taco. You said, you know, Zap's the kind of guy that just might bring out the Freya. Well, here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, though, considering that he might be wanting to save that Chronos pick. They probably want to go ahead and test out this Freya, because Freya is still a really, really strong magical ADC. And the fact is that she will bounce pretty well against the Soul. If anything, I would say that the lane is going to be pretty even for the most part against Freya. So Soul might have the one-up because she does have a little bit better early clear in comparison to the Freya. But the fact is, Zap can still get this carry it's going to be easier for him to get it online in comparison to a Chronos, and a Chronos is much easier to kill in the early game stages, especially from a team like Luminosity that's probably going to look to pressure that duo lane early on.
There's a lot of tactical mind games between Zapman right now and DJ. They're very methodical about their picks and ban strategy. So I love the fact that they're holding off on some of their other picks that they were more comfortable with online, considering this is only the first game. There's still there's 1 more set for Eager to go today, and there's 2 more days remaining in this weekend.
Big D over there in the solo lane still has yet to have a choice unless that Ratatoskr winds up there. Although with how inquisitive he looks right now, I think he's thinking about what he wants to play. So I'm going to take a gamble and say Rat winds up in the jungle. Luminosity, they're going to have a Ravana over there in the solo lane. Ravana was banned out, which is one of Scary D's go-tos. So instead he'll play the Ravana.
If anything, though, I think it was really interesting how Luminosity opted to go for the Ravana, and I think they specifically went for that because Scary D would like to take a comfort pick off of Divios. Divios is very comfortable on that Ravana. It's a really easy god to bully the lane with early on, which is what Divios is pretty known for. NNA is bullying out the other solo laner really hard to try and make those critical rotations into the mid lane and even the duo lane sometimes to try and provide his team with that early on pressure. So I think it was definitely a smart decision by Luminosity to go ahead and pick up that Ravana.
Which is funny because we see Erlang Shen picked up, which is pretty much the same idea. Just be a big bully. Totally, real quick, why don't you break down the Erlang Shen versus the Ravana matchup for us real quick?
Ravana wants to play like a bully, but Erlang Shen can easily clear from far away. Doesn't have to put himself out of position.
So that one's going to work out pretty well. A raw selection for Team Eager. Some spicy stuff across the way. Luminosity, something a little bit more familiar. So 2 different picks and bans coming out. Honestly, expected out of these 2 teams, if you ask me. We're going to give the game over to the casters. It's Hinduman and Adonis breaking it down for Game 1.
Thanks so much, Tom. And now we're live with the game you guys have all been waiting for. It's Group B, it's opening game, and it's LG versus Eager.
This is going to be a big matchup here in the jungle. I'm looking at djpernicus. We've seen a lot of inconsistencies about him, but one thing that I know DJ has in him, and it's the drive to win. That's all he cares about. There's one number.
Now beforehand, before these games started, I asked Pernicus how he was going to go today against LG. He said to me, 2-0 to Eager,
okay,
22-minute games,
all right,
and he'll go 0-5.
See, and I can believe that. Like, djpernicus will play absolutely anything in the jungle. He will play any style he needs to for his team to win. He doesn't want to be the star. If he goes off, sure, he's happy about it, but really, he's here to set up Eager and set up for their victory.
Now, we've seen some compositions coming out with Raw in EU last week, and this is the first time we're really going to see it in North America, but it's not a double Guardian setup this time round.
It's a little bit different. You still have the Sobek, right? And this is actually, so this is interesting. We didn't think that this would happen in picks and bans, but Aror actually taking this Sobek solo. It's going to be Divios. Yes. Aror has the Erlang Shen in the support position. Now, this is going to give them a lot of pressure and a lot of setup potential for the kill.
This is a really interesting composition as well because we have seen a little bit of Erlang Shen before in the support role. Trix Tank in Europe has run it to great effect as well. The difference is here with the Freya, it really feels like Freya's going to be pulsing the wave to group them up, and then Erlang Shen will finish it off with the pin to help with wave clear a little bit.
Now, this is not going to be the easiest lane for Zapman, and I'm actually really excited to see the Freya. We were talking about it before the game began. We haven't seen Zapman on the Freya in quite some time, but he is incredibly skilled with it. So seeing how he plays against this lane that has a lot of poke pressure in the Soul and the Fafnir is going to be interesting. He's got to play it pretty passively.
Now, LG there on your screen, you can see, for the most part, talking to Jeff, like, this is the reject squad that are #1 seed.
Yeah.
They've got Mass, they've got Xenotronics, and even JeffHindla himself said, listen, he was kicked off the team too. These have all been kicked before in the past, and now looking for redemption here.
The redemption is actually the perfect word. Obviously, this team, SWC1 winners, BaRRaCCuDDa and JeffHindla, along with Ananster, Omega as well. They were so incredibly talented. Then Second Worlds hit, and they hit the wall of energy.
Now, an interesting start here coming out from Eager again. We saw the early wards placed down from both teams, but more about the Erlang Shen played by Aror here. He's gone for the Watcher's Gift, but more importantly, his relic selection here is Purification.
He has to do that because of the Fenrir, and this is actually a composition style that Eager have run an incredibly high amount, where you have this Fenrir in the jungle combined with a very high burst mage and some Guardian that can have an extra bit of CC, and what they do is they just abuse the supports during their rotation. Eager, I wouldn't say invented this style, but that was their go-to with the Sobek Awelish earlier on in the year, and so Aror knows that he's got to be careful against Mass.
Now, Eager, one of those teams, a very cerebral team, as I always say, and one thing to mention here is Eager in the regular split for the placements only played 2 games on the side of Order. Hold that for his dual lane, early aggression coming out from Eager early on with the pressure in the wave getting there a little bit earlier.
See, that it was really good in the beginning there. You saw the Raw able to hit both the back harpies and the red buff at the same time, which allowed Zapman and Aror to get to lane. But this is the issue that Zapman's going to run into. That Stellar Burst covers such a huge area in the laning phase that Zapman has to be incredibly careful with his positioning. They cleared the wave, but then Zapman was still trying to get poke damage off and ate that full damage. You can see right now, only 1 health potion remaining for him, where BaRRa is still full on the 4 number.
And that duel, and he's doing great work for Eager already. Erlang, Shen, and Freya up against a Sol and a Fafnir. It's not something you'd expect to see pushing the wave.
No, but it's not going to go that way for much longer. Aror also only on 2 multi-potions. JeffHindla and BaRRaCCuDDa conceded that first minute of the laning phase and just focused on poking out Zapman and Aror. And because of that, once BaRRa and LG start to decide that they want to take the pressure back and utilize potions to do so, Zapman's going to start to be pushed back in the lane. But that's okay for Zap as well. Like, he got through the roughest parts, right? The first 3 to 6 levels is really where you need to pay attention. And if Zapman can back without having been ganked by Mast or taken too much poke damage, it's a positive position for him.
Can we check gold in hand here as well? I just want to see how Aror is at the moment in terms of what he started with gold-wise. Only started 744, but he's going to get towards his boots a little bit quicker, although Fafnir is right on his heels. I thought he bought a few less potions, but I guess it's more wards that he placed down.
It was definitely the wards, just trying to get that vision, make sure no jungler would happen. But you saw what Zapman did there in the lane. He actually whooped BaRRaCCuDDa. He had no interest in going aggressive on him because the wave was right there, but BaRRaCCuDDa panicked a little bit. He threw out the Stellar Burst, just trying to poke Zap.
Gank onto the best in mid lane. He's forced to purify early, but the Ragnarok will still pick him up, and the drums of war from Xenotronics. Mast, the most deadly player in this group, has got first blood.
So unfortunate for Best there. Great reaction time, almost too good. Mast actually missed the ultimate coming out from Fenrir, did not pick him up fast enough. That forced Best to panic. He thought he was going to be in the clutches, but instead, Mast recognized that once those purification were out, that the CC immunity wasn't going to last long enough compared to his Ragnarok. He just waited out the time, picked him up, and got first blood.
Now BaRRaCCuDDa under a bit of pressure here. No wave with him, but a good hammer from Jeff will stop the aggression from Zapman there. Level 5 online for the Eager boys is now djpernicus turns up too, and it's ultimate pressure onto Luminosity early on, and an answer back.
That was actually incredibly unfortunate there. Mass, after getting that kill, had backed along with Xenotronics, and djpernicus was left unchecked. Those early wards that were placed by LG had already fallen off, and so djpernicus just able to utilize that global presence to go from Gold Fury straight drop down on the left-hand side. Jeff and BaRRa hadn't hit level 5 yet. They had no way to fight it, and Eager immediately answer back. Not only do they answer back, though, it's Zap who gets the kill.
It is Zapman getting the kill. Very big for Freya, the hyper carrying to the later stages of the game, and we've seen what he can do with the Chronos, the other mages in that duo lane that we've seen before. That stat line for that is crazy.
It's 22, 1, and 25. That is Zap on Magical Hunters in the online stage. Now, it was only Chronos, but he hasn't brought out his Freya in quite some time, and this could be bad for LG because they probably don't get that much practice. I think Matt Yankee really the only one in North America that's running that regularly.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit out of Panda Cap, but that was early on in the season
not so
before
much recently.
He took the break as well. 1-1 is the scoreline for now. Left Harpies are available. Mid lane, as you said, Mast took a lot of free poke for no reason there. And Xeno forced it all to help out his boy. Rotation coming in from Eager on the back here. djpernicus looking to clean up the remnants. The remnants, maybe Xenotronics.
He's got to get over this wall, but DJ reads it immediately. JeffHindla's there too. Oh, protect. And the hammer from Jeff. Quick reaction time to help Xeno get out. 2
in a row from JeffHindla. He's landed with that hammer. Very important to actually secure for his team. And at the same time, not the easiest ability in the game to connect.
No, not at all. Mass, though, a little bit surprising on that dive in mid. Well, I think it would have worked if Xenotronics was in line at the beginning. He just wasn't around. Mass dived by himself, barely able to avoid that. And Xenotronics was forced to ult. We actually saw the first tick of that, I think being the fear, just to make sure Mass wasn't going to get chased, then decided to do the full damage. While he did hit all 4, it was just too much for the Raw to heal up there.
Well, only around a 400 to 500 gold lead here for Luminosity early on. Divios in the solo lane here playing the Sobek, and we think about his Divios offline. We've been talking about this, the fact that at LAN, he generally steps up his game a little bit more.
This is the Cog Red syndrome, right? That team was okay online. They came to the kickoff lane. Divios just became a monster. Like, I don't know how to describe it more than he just became the best solo laner in the world comparatively to the bottom level I think he was playing at in the online portions. And Divios since then has been one of the best North American solo laners, and it's someone that Scary D's gonna have to be careful against. He's the rookie in this matchup.
Well, Zap trading off with BaRRaCCuDDa, gonna use the supernova, and a lot of it went on the mark there. The Disapparate can absorb some of those shots, but not all of them. Zap missing the last one there, gotta back away. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, aggression on Aror. more, and he's out of position, surrounded and alone, and in comes Scary
Oh,
D.
Scary D, he's got the rooted toe, and in the jump in from Mast as well. It's another kill, and Xeno dives the tower. 2 kills, JeffHindla gets the second.
Really big play for them coming out there. JeffHindla getting a double kill for himself. The support coming through big there. Zapman on the left-hand side wants to clear this next weave coming through as Luminosity looking to pressure this mid-tier 1 tower.
And look at this, Zapman as well. Could be in trouble. He has no idea. BaRRaCCuDDa's looped around behind him.
There's no minions
Bear's
really
waiting
for
on
this.
its Stellar Burst. That could just be enough.
It
One
will
more
be.
basic. And there it is. BaRRa finds Zap underneath the tower.
5-2. Luminosity have stepped up another gear. Eager answer back quick after the first blood. But since then, it's pretty much been all LG.
This is going to be brutal for Zapman in this lane now. They had a really good trade. Obviously, neither died, but he just didn't expect BaRRaCCuDDa looping around behind him. BaRRaCCuDDa was able to heal up with his 1 because of that, and just the lack of wards. And BaRRaCCuDDa, knowing what was going on in mid lane, he knew that this was going to be free for him.
Credit to BaRRaCCuDDa though with that supernova. It's not often you see a supernova hit that many shots, but he positioned it perfectly, and Zap took a lot more damage than they expected, forced to ult in the end, and with him missing that last tick, obviously, it didn't make BaRRa get low enough to have to worry about engaging again.
And then just knowing BaRRaCCuDDa, right, and how he used to play, he was incredibly passive. Like, there was this Zapman versus BaRRaCCuDDa dynamic where Zap was super aggro, too aggro. He had to be paired with, you know, players like ShadowQ and Polar Bear Mike who would have to dive with him just to keep him alive. And now it's BaRRaCCuDDa actually playing that style, being the aggressor. We would not see BaRRaCCuDDa make that play last year.
Well, Left-Hand Harp is about to spawn an LG, already grouped up as in pretty much a whole team there to make sure they secure those ones at the beginning. Meanwhile, mid lane, djpernicus going to farm up a little bit more on the Ratatoskr. Looks like he's going towards the Void Shield, whereas his opposition in the jungle, Mast, heading for that hi-rez.
And this is okay for Eager right now in the state of this game, looking at the soul laners as well. Divios doesn't really need to do anything besides make sure Scary D doesn't out-rotate him and doesn't clear his buffs. The Sobek's going to have a lot more disruption than the Ravana in the late game. Now, while Ravana will be annoying for the best to deal with, if he gets some form of protection, just the disruption from the Sobek tail whip and the flings and even the ultimate, like that big, massive AoE slow, are going to be a lot more effective in this late game.
I'm hoping for pestilences and curses from Luminosity here as well. Even though you've got the best, and that's obvious that he's got healing, a lot of these other gods that Eager have drafted also have great sustain in them.
A lot of self-sustain. Sobek obviously has his quick heal, right? He can hit up to 3 minions, the raw. Ratatoskr has healing baked into his kit. And then on top of that, Freya, she's going to be building into lifesteal, not just yet, but later into her build.
And Erlang Shen as well. His ultimate will heal him back as well. Every single one of these gods they've drafted has sustain. So we need curses, we need pestilences, or just don't let them group up, because otherwise you're going to have to fight through a lot of sustain.
We're likely to see a Brawler's Beatstick come out from Mast as well. Just that item without the anti-healing is already incredibly effective, and with Mast, because his playstyle is so aggressive, he likes to jump on you, you'll see him line up multiple targets, and that'll become effective.
Well, first golf of the game has been started by Luminosity here, already below half health. The best is here with a snipe available, and it's going to force a reset from LG, and they did get DJ's ultimate.
And great presence of mind from LG. They thought they had control of the ward vision right there. You could see right above the gold tree, though, 1 blue ward, so Eager were able to recognize it. They're like, we're going to try and sneak it. Okay, you guys recognize it. Let's just back off. We got DJ's ultimate. That means for the next 90 seconds, DJ's not going to be that effective and ganking and roaming across the map.
And we never mentioned Divios did start with Raph in this game just to make sure he could get to lane decent enough, but he didn't have teleport. Now that's going to be available for him too, which makes it even more difficult for Luminosity to look at gold furies without killing Eager first.
And, I mean, Divios is going to be very careful with his teleports. He's not a player that burns them, and if he does burn a teleport to get to a fight and the fight breaks off, Divios and his team will utilize that teleport. They're not going to immediately have Divios shift over to the right-hand side of the map to start laning again. They will start to pressure. They'll look for a kill with the pluck or an invade or even just try and force the gold fury. They do have that raw snipe, which is incredibly efficient at securing those big objectives.
And not only that, the Wrath as well could do that too. That'd be an interesting one. Still no invades in this game, sorry, I should say, as there was a quick pause coming out from djpernicus here as well. State of the game so far for you guys at home as well. It's roughly about 2,000 gold lead here for Luminosity. No gold furies down at the 10-minute mark, and things are looking pretty good for Luminosity, but we can't ignore the fact that Eager have a pretty good late game composition.
They do, but you just look at this team, right? Look at how Mast is sitting right now. You saw the smiles on their faces. LG feel like right now they're in an incredibly good position, because while the late game for Eager is great, they have BaRRaCCuDDa on Soul, and I think BaRRaCCuDDa's Soul is the best in the world, uncontested. You watch him play this god in the online stages, there was no one who could match him, and then even in that trade 1v1 he had against Zapman where neither died, BaRRa got the better end of it. He played it perfectly, disapparated Zapman's ultimate, hit him to 1 health, and that actually opened up the kill potential for him when he did loop around that tier 1 just about a minute later.
But he could know that he was going to play Sol here. I mean, he's only played Jingwei and Sol pretty much.
The only two.
The whole split. So for him to do that and then them to ban Jingwei says they're not so scared about the Sol, although it has made an impact already.
And it's going to be more devastating once BaRRaCCuDDa starts rotating. That's really where he shined, both in his old team of Cloud9 and now this new team of Luminosity. BaRRaCCuDDa has always been an incredibly prominent teamfight hunter. He will rotate before your hunter even knows it's time to rotate. And that's something that you're going to have to be aware of. We haven't seen BaRRaCCuDDa make that impact yet, and that's mostly because he feels like he's dominating Zap pretty heavily, so he wants to keep up that pressure. But once a real Gold Fury start happens, not one that LG are just trying to sneak, that's when that Soul, once a level or 2 above, is going to have a big impact.
I love the mentality of this team as well. Very jokey, very lighthearted, it seems. Talking to BaRRa and Jeff before this broadcast as well, they were saying, you know, Xenotronics and Mast, perfect team to work with. They accept criticism, they're easy to talk to, and they listening to learn to adapt and change.
And some people here, we've obviously been talking to the players since they've been hanging out here, said that they were a little bit worried about Mast, not about him, but kind of for him, thinking that the LAN, this is his first appearance, would kind of get on his nerves and he might not play to the level that they had expected him to from the online portions. But him leaning back in that chair when we went to the team shot, like, that is a really confident player right now.
Came in with the most kills in this group, also the most first bloods at 5, and got first blood in this game too, so extends that for the split to 6 so far. And out of 15 games, if we count the online stage too, that's 6 first bloods, that's pretty high.
This is redemption for Mast. He was banned competitively for an entire year. He started back up at the beginning of this season, going between 3 or 4 different teams that kept repeatedly kicking him, and then he manages to land up with BaRRaCCuDDa and Jeff after Annenster had left this lineup, and it has just been a switch. We're seeing a much more confident Mast. Him and Xenotronics, just their mid-jungle synergy is absolutely incredible.
Hold that, LG going a little bit deep there, going to try and zone Eager away from going straight round to the dual lanes. They're going to deny a little bit more farm from them, and now knowing they're going there, they're actually going to pull the Gold Fury.
I don't think DJ knows this is going on. You can see Divios has rotated in with his ultimate, and Shell's been popped for LG.
Resets happen, but Ratatoskr's up and comes down too. But Divios is still in trouble. He'll be the first casualty to Scary D. Meanwhile, DJ is still in amongst it and gets hit by the dash. The best snipe comes out, but Jeff is on a killing spree.
And Jeff is just insane right now. I think that's the 3rd kill in this game. Overall, though, LG walk away. Mast on red health, BaRRaCCuDDa and Jeff on yellow. That was so unfortunate for Eager. They actually forced that fight. DJ jumps in along with Divios, but it just took a little bit too long for Best to decide when he wanted to use his abilities. We saw the raw snipe and the beam come out, but Jeff and DJ and Divios were already dead.
I do want to ask one question. I'm going to check Jeff's glasses after this game, because maybe there's something in there that we didn't realize when he went to the stage. Because he's hitting everything.
Jeff is, I mean, he's
like
incredibly
laser-guided glasses or something?
I think Jeff has been to almost every North American LAN outside of DreamHack Masters. I'm trying to think if there's, I guess, Epsilon Invitational they weren't in either, but outside of that, I mean, Jeff has been to every single LAN that the SPL has had.
And the Fafnir pick seems to have worked out well from 3-0-2. He's looking pretty much on farm as we tune in with Zapman, who's still working on his build, got most of his core online with the Fatalis in the shoes of the Medjai too. More than likely, we're going to see the Demonic Grip next.
Likely. Telekines doesn't really translate too well the later the game goes. Demonic Grip, obviously, that penetration going to be very effective. You can also see that BaRRaCCuDDa has started stacking up a Warlock Sash, so just having that extra shred going to help tear through that.
Not something we normally see coming out from the hunters of the Warlock Sash, at least the mage hunters anyway. We don't normally see it too much.
Eager had no idea.
Mass is going to go in. The Ragnarok picks up Best, forced to purify away. The damage is too much to go through the sustain. And now DJ around the back trying to answer back, but Scary D picks up a roar. And now the Sanctuary's burnt from DJ. He's in trouble too. Comes in to Divios to try and help out and zone them back, but already 2 men are dead.
That was a heavy investment from LG, and look at this. Zapman's rotation looking for Scary D. Good stun though. djpernicus does trade back with Scary D, but so far it was only a 1-for-2. LG, just the opportunist. They were just farming mid camps. I don't think that was a setup play. They just noticed that Best had pushed up in mid. It was going to be a free kill onto him, and they executed it.
Can we just check wards placed as well? As this tier 1 tower in the mid is pressured. Zapman is going to be forced to use his Sanctuary to absorb that. Now the whip comes out, but minions are there, and a supernova from BaRRa this time around not really connecting where he wanted it to.
Zapman doing a good job of baiting that ultimate, though, important right now, with Luminosity looking to siege up. In the meantime, also, LG were able to pick up that Gold Fury earlier on right now, and they are in such a dominating spot. You can see Eager is really trying to slow the pace of this game down. They haven't pushed up past kind of the line they're at right now. They're just playing incredibly defensively. They want to hold out. They have the raw sustain. They have a Freya for late game, so they don't really want to be taking too many fights.
Well, I asked for a curse, and we get one on the side of ScaryD as well as a Pestilence there, just to be able to help out his team a little bit more. That engagement in mid, though, just came out of nothing, really. Can we just see wards placed from the teams here? Because I feel like Eager have been slacking, and it kind of shows that at the moment with how many we see on the teams.
Stark difference, not a single ward placed by the Best. And he's died 3 times. Like, that just, if you're getting ganked that much, and you saw that the Sentry ward on the right-hand side for LG when he did just die in mid, he is not placing wards and protecting himself. He's almost relying on his team to make shot calls, which, while it can work, when you have 0 wards, not only in the enemy jungle, but your own jungle, like, you have to take care of this yourself. You need to be careful with your positioning.
Well, this is the first day of the groups, the first game of the groups as well, and these teams will face off another 3 more games minimum this weekend as well, as once again, LG looking to siege up and take down the tier 1, and they'll get it for free.
And Eager are just going to concede this for now. Left-hand side, though, Zap going to take a fight with BaRRaCCuDDa, just trying to get to his lane, and BaRRaCCuDDa, all he cares about is that Zap just lost gold and experience to that tower on left.
That's 2 or 3 times now where I've seen him being able to take Zap off experience and gold underneath the tier 1 tower. If he continues to do that, the lead will just keep growing and growing between those two.
He's doing a really good job of making sure to limit Zapman's chance to really get back into this game. He knows how devastating a Freya can be in late game. Obviously, the Soul's going to be just as good, maybe even better, but he doesn't want to run the chance of Zapman catching someone in the back line and snowballing a fight.
We spoke a lot about Jeff on this Fafnir, and well, you can see Aror on the Erlang Shen this game. He's not really making the impact they were looking for, it seems.
And Aror is actually a player that has very similar tendencies to Trickstank. He likes playing these warrior supports, brings them into this position. We remember the old Fenrir support. Now, we haven't seen that in quite some time. I'll be interested to see if in game 2 we see that Fenrir of Mass kind of be taken away, maybe experimented with Aror, but he just likes to go aggressive. He likes to fight all the time.
You could also see the fact in the GPM when you saw the stat lines there from that Face It player comparison was that a little bit more farm on the side of JeffHindla there overall in GPM game, because Auror's looking for fights, as you said.
And apparently JeffHindla just steals everyone kills. He's 3-0-4 right now. He's been a part of 7 of 9 kills.
He's had enough of BaRRa getting all the credit, man.
Maybe that's
He's done with it.
Hey, man, he's got more damage than Mast right now, and Mast has 3 kills as well. So I'm just saying, the bottom 2 damage members on Luminosity right now are leading in the kill chart.
And the funny thing is that those 2 positions, I mean, well, actually not Mast, Xenotronics and JeffHindla's position, the mid and the support weren't really the biggest factors of this old team that BaRRa and Jeff used to be on. When they had Anderson, when they had Omega, when they had Stealth, you didn't really hear those 2 talked about so much.
Not at all. And now JeffHindla's making an impact. And going back to them being low damage, this is okay because Luminosity are actually playing around the sustain, right? If they just try and get into these repeated poke wars against Eager, it's not going to be beneficial for them because Raw's just going to be able to heal up. We talked about the sustain in most of Eager's kit. So instead, the damage they do is damage where they're looking for kills, and that's it. They're not initiating unless they feel like they can have a secured kill.
Here we go again. LG going to pull the Gold Fury. The best is round on the right-hand side of this near the left-hand harpies at the moment, and the boys of Eager are slowly collapsing. LG will reset for now, and it's going to be a bit of a long engagement here. It feels like LG are trying to draw them in.
And Eager know this too. You could see playing incredibly passively. Now, there's going to have to be some decision made from LG whether they're going to actually start up the Gold Fury or just continuously bait that. And they are going to find Jeff here, who's got to jump away, but the Gold Fury is still pulled right now by LG, and it's just going to be reset.
A jump for a banish and a pulse is not going to be too bad there. Everybody just resets back for the time being here between the 2. For the time being, though, LG looking pretty good, and they do have a gold lead here at Anis, but at the same time, we mentioned the sustain on Eager. What is the gold gap going to have to be to really nullify that sustain?
I think 1 or 2, like 1 more Gold Fury is where it starts to get really bad from Eager, and LG know that, but they're not willing to commit to the Gold Fury just yet because they don't have a secured pickup. Like, they have a Wrath, but they're going to be competing against Divios' Wrath and the Snipe from Raw. It's a little bit too much up in the air for LG to feel confident enough. And because they've been winning in just every lane and kind of pressuring out, they would rather just take advantages like that. If they can draw Eager and bait them into a Gold Fury fight, they'll take it. But if not, they feel happy with continuing and extending out this laning phase.
Now, there was a ward placed down near the Gold Fury, just to the deeper side of Eager's side of the jungle there, which spotted out the whole of LG, who are looking for a potential rotation. So Eager happy just to sit back and continue trying to farm up and close this gap.
And you can see the left-hand side now is littered with Eager wards. They recognize what's happening. We have a sentry both on gold underneath it and a regular ward on top. Now, the sentries in the Gold Fury pit are typically countered back and forth. Eager don't really care if their one at the Gold Fury gets countered because they don't have the best to contest it, so they want to make sure to have vision on the top side and the bottom side. So if LG pull it, sure, they may not know exactly who's on the Gold Fury, but they know that LG's in the area attempting to do it.
I'm just a little bit worried for LG going into the late game because they're going to rely a lot on the magical damage of things as this game goes on. Obviously, Mass will do some decent damage on Fenrir, but it's not going to be the be-all and end-all.
It's going to be the Xenotronics and BaRRaCCuDDa show, mostly the BaRRaCCuDDa show. Xenotronics has done his job setting up the early game kills and pressure with Mast. Mast is now starting to transition his build into being more defensive. He's picked up the Void Shield, picked up the Wing Blade, and likely going to have a defensive item next, a magical defensive item next.
Aror and Divios going to lead them in. djpernicus flanking once again around those left-hand hoppies. He does that a lot.
LG might commit to this because they did force the teleport.
Well, Divios still walking around. Mast, obviously, versus Divios is the call, and Divios can use that ultimate. And the moment that ultimate is used, the engagement begins. Mast goes in, and they force back. Let's listen to the Eagle comms as they look to defend the Gold Fury.
Mast is almost dead.
Alright.
Raijin. Like a Raijin Pern.
I got Raijin.
Good
Nice,
Fafnir.
nice.
Fafnir.
No three on soul.
Okay, go to Soul.
That's your feed.
Okay, I got
Fafnir. Nice. I got a taunt. Nice!
Let's go. Back up Pern. I'm okay. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Let's go, baby! Drop.
They're not good. Hey, look for them, Pern. Look for them.
Look behind. That's why. No, Robin TP. He's right here. We're good.
Hey.
Really good job, guys.
Nice.
Keep that shit up. This for you.
That Fenrir died to one.
That was the Steel Series Listen In, and such a perfect team fight by Eager. You saw LG repeatedly just trying to bait Eager into the pit, but Eager weren't having it. Mast finally got tired of it. He jumped in and initiated the fight. Immediately the raw heal goes down, a shell is popped, the sprint is popped, and Eager, all they do is just kite around in the circle. Then Best makes the highlight play. He finds the snipe on Xenotronics in the back line. djpernicus is able to finish him up, and because of the sustain from Raw, Eager are able to stay healthy enough that once they've reset, once they've picked off Xenotronics, they can just start pressuring a little bit more, and you saw them pick up a couple kills off that and get the Gold Fury. It was just that was just a battle of wills, and I think Mast got tired of it, and he just jumped in finally.
A little bit too much excitement in Eager comes for me, though, as well. He wasn't as clean as I would have expected. Yes, they're at LAN, and they're going to be hyped and popping off to the enemy team, but there was a lot of shouting going on in that. It wasn't that clean. Eventually, it started to get that way once they got that first pick, but up until that point, it was just a lot of loud noise and no real clear communication.
I feel like that's most of NA's comms, is just scream as loud as you can, but realistically, this is their first match of the day. They were behind by about 3 to 4K, and they played 10 minutes of this incredibly passive farm game and surviving LG's base. LG's like, come on, fight us, Eager, fight us. We're going to do the goal. Do it. Come on, fight us. And then finally, LG just got tired of it. Finally jumped on him. The sustain just kept them alive, and they were able to win the fight off of that.
And I love the builds coming out from Eager too. We talked about the amount of sustain they've got. Well, Rod of Sleepius is online for TheBest now, which will increase the healing of everybody in this team, as well as Pythagorum's piece for Zapman. That will actually boost Best's damage as well.
That's something that you almost always need when you have a magical hunter, is a Pythagorean's piece. It's already almost an efficient item just picking it up solo, but because now the recent changes of, it's still the same stats as it always been, but more of the power and lifesteal is on the aura. So you're only helping out your team more. I'd like to see either Xeno or BaRRa pick that up somewhere in their build. The issue is they've both started at very expensive items. I think Xeno's working on Soul Reaver. He's got tier 1 right now, and JeffHindla, or excuse me, BaRRaCCuDDa, who's not JeffHindla, is working on that Ratatoskr. So another 1900 gold before he can complete it. And then on top of that, if he wants, like, it's going to be another 10 plus minutes before that item's online.
Really is, and even mentioned that a little bit more. Divios in the solo lane, has gone for a Void Stone, which will give him some magical power as well, but also utilize that Pythagoras piece a little bit more.
It's going to be reducing the magical protections of everyone in an area, and you can clearly see what Divios' job is. He teleports in the backside, he ults immediately. We don't actually see him dash, that's not the first thing he does. He ults, and his whole deal is to get off as much damage as possible, or force out Purification from the slow, force out Sanctuary from the damage people don't want to take, and just disrupt the team fight that way, because it's going to be very hard to kill Divios while he's channeling his ult, just because he's very tanky.
Yeah.
And so LG have to make a decision. Do they focus on that, or do they just reset the fight, or continue the fight and burn all their relics and ultimates when they don't want to?
Well, a couple of power spikes coming through here. Ratatoskr is now online for BaRRaCCuDDa. Meanwhile, TheBest in the mid lane has got some extra penetration online to join that Rod of Asclepius as well now. So this game is going to start going towards the later stages, and he's going to be aware of that. I believe he's in a bit of trouble. Snipe will come through and connect with Xenotronics, and now he's going to run because DJ's going up.
And Divios is here as well. DJ, is he really? He's not going to go all in. He's going to switch targets here, and he's going to jump immediately down on a mass. Find the knock-up. Xeno firing his ults, though, and Eager are just going to reset. They want to utilize this raw sustain to stay healthy. They baited out 2, actually 3 ultimates. They're happy with that trade.
Love what Xenotronics did there. Got engaged on, backed away, and then realized if he pops his ult, he can help out his team. He realized he wasn't going to be the focus from DJ in the position he was in, so he helps out Master as well.
This mid lane matchup has been really dynamic. I think Best definitely suffering in the early game from a lack of vision and not really respecting where LG is in the jungle, but he's really tightened up. And right there, just the quick backstep, just jukes the stun from the Fenrir, and then he hits the snipe onto Xeno, which means they can't combine the Fenrir and the ultimate from Raijin, because Xenotronics, if he's just ulting there that close to Eager's side of the map, he's going to get dove on by DJ.
At the same time, I mean, TheBest will have a little bit more mobility now. His passive lasts a little bit longer, so it's easy to keep that mobility up with his passive, which allows him in these stages of the game to make sure he's got a bit more movement speed to be able to make those jukes.
You just got to juke all the time with Raw. You have no escape.
It's part of the job.
But you got fast movement speed, and you got to heal. And your job is to just survive as long as possible, and then hit the perfect snipe for your team, and whatever form that is. Either, do a ton of damage, finish off a kill, force someone off you, whatever your job is, it's really centered around juking and that ult.
Well, player damage at the moment, top of the charts is TheBest in the mid lane. After the start he had, where he was focused very early on, started to make a good impact again. And I think if we check out healing done as well, that number will start ticking up slowly as well now.
Only about 5k right now, but when you look at the damage charts, especially where LG have a lot of their kills on the Fenrir, on the Fafnir, LG aren't really trading out poke wars like that. That healing is all in the middle of a fight, I would like to assume. We're not really seeing LG just like do a little bit of damage, back off, do a little damage, back off for him to pad that
number. And if that's
the
case, then he's just absorbing all what ScaryD has done in terms of damage this game. That healing has just evened it out.
What's unfortunate here is that ScaryD wasn't able to fully utilize this Robin. You want to get a lot of pressure in lane, use that to rotate very heavily or to pressure into buffs. And even if you don't get the buffs, what you do is you bait djpernicus to the right side of the map. That opens up those early Gold Fury options. We didn't really see that from Scary. He's kind of just been poking this tower and surviving against Divios, but I mean, Divios even got the first tower. Like, ScaryD has only matched him now.
He did, but at the same time, I like what Divios has done here. He used to play a lot more aggressive solo lanes. The North American best was dictated by be aggressive in the solo lane, win the lane. Although you've got the likes of Energy, Dimmy, for example, who will always be put into a negative matchup for the good of the team. I mean, that's what Divios is here, for the good of the team.
I mean, that was, honestly, Eager's playstyle as Matt's going to go aggressive here.
DJ, but he's still in trouble as the drums come out as well. He should still be in trouble here, but the Sanctuary's going to absorb a lot. Another rotation's here from Eager.
Oh, barely.
Investment got it. A lot, and he'll get up to the sky and out of the fight.
Here's that man as well, tearing through the team. Oh, Divios going to pop the ult there. Aurora is just resetting. Divios is trying to disrupt the team, just forcing them off for now, but he is in an awkward spot, and Eager know it. Zapman having to use that banish, and here it comes. This is where the strength of Eager comes in, the sustain comp.
I look at the investment from both the two teams there. Still, TheBest has his ultimate available here as they rotate round. If Divios finds a pluck, it could spell trouble. The snipe will rip through too, but it was only the frontline tanks, unfortunately. Supernova out from BaRRaCCuDDa will slow down the advance of Eager, and now Eager are being collapsed on.
Zap's in trouble. He's got to try and get the sustain. djpernicus has already taken out Xenotronics, and Best is lining up everyone for the shots. BaRRaCCuDDa, full health in the middle of Eager. The Wrath comes out. The stun is solid. Zapman's found one. Zapman still looking for more. BaRRaCCuDDa does return against djpernicus, but he's going to get picked up eventually. LG have already backed off of the fight.
Divios gets credit for the kill, and now he's going to head over to the Gold Fury as well. And now this will be a free Gold Fury for Eager here, because poor old Jeff and Scary, I don't think we'll be able to stop this.
He is going to teleport in, but Zapman's going to scare him off, and I think
slow him down.
Gold Fury was dropped. Actually, they're looking to commit to Scary D. They don't even care about the Gold Fury right now. They force his ult.
And he's going to be fine still. The Gold Fury's still going to go the way of Eager here. There's no way for them to stop it. Let's go to the graphs here before the gold goes down. We should see the difference between the two beforehand. Obviously, it was pretty much tied here, but Eager will actually get the gold lead for the first time.
LG had about a 900 gold lead, but now finally turned on its head. And remember, the later the game goes, the more the Gold Fury is worth. It scales throughout. This is going to be the full worth, I believe. And finally, Eager take the lead. 800, although 29 minutes in, 28 and a half, like, that's not a lead. This game is dead even.
I've got to look back at that last engagement too and look at the fact djpernicus survived that whole situation on himself there. So, used his relics wisely, and then LG kind of burnt everything for it.
So I think Mass actually made the biggest mistake there. LG full committed onto djpernicus, who immediately pops his ult, or not his ult, but his Sanctuary. And while in the Sanctuary, like, it was already activated. Then Mast actually used his Brutalize. Now, Brutalize chases Ratatoskr's dash because it's so short, but all of it was absorbed in the Sanctuary. Then djpernicus was able to dash away. No one had a movement ability to finish him off, and he was able to get to the sky beforehand. If Mast holds his Brutalize there, that's a kill, and that's probably a fight LG win.
Well, everybody expects this group to be very, very close overall here. If you actually just look at the individual matchups between these teams, Eager should technically finish second in this group just on paper of the performances against the other teams.
I mean, Allegiance also, they've been pretty solid as well. They're going to be playing later, actually the match after this against Eager, and I think that's just going to be as spicy as this one. Right now, though, Eager in an okay spot. They're dead even in this game right now. Zapman has come online. You can see he's got his Pythagoreans. He's got his Spear of the Magus. He's working right now to finish off the Ratatoskr. That's going to be a massive power spike. But BaRRaCCuDDa has Polynomicon.
And not just that, the Warlock Sash giving him so much sustain with the health just on its own to survive the fights, as well as the extra damage you get with it.
We're actually seeing a lot of trouble for Luminosity trying to kill Eager. Like, they get close, right? They do a lot of damage at the beginning, but just the sustain, not only from the, it's not only the raw, it's just the self-sustain they have as well. And we don't ever see Eager really get into a bad spot. They're either dead right there or they win the fight.
I'm looking at Xenotronics and BaRRaCCuDDa because we talk about the sustain. Well, they need power spikes. They need burst. And those two do have the burst, especially with the Soul Weaver being finished by Xenotronics and the Polynomicon we mentioned for BaRRaCCuDDa. They could burst someone down before the healing even becomes a factor.
The issue for Xenotronics is, actually, the issue for Divios is that he's got to pop his ult there, getting a little bit caught out. And in the meantime, djpernicus just on a split push. They're going to take that trade any day of the week, but Eager are kind of in an awkward spot. They're pushed onto LG's side, and LG are rotating in.
Yeah, they're going to rotate in, but I don't think Eager's going to really worry about it. Just head to the left-hand side here. They can rotate into the jungle, find these left-hand harpies for free. And Eager, for me, they're actually playing this really well.
They have just been playing an incredibly passive game despite having the lead. They're just baiting LG in. They can't really force the fight unless it's Divios finds a pluck or comes around in the back line.
Oh, Fire Giant started up here by LG. Divios is sniffing it out, though. No ultimate available for the next 20 seconds, however, as now Aror's the one that's forced in, has to turtle form away. Takes a lot of free poke, and it's actually Divios who nearly gets picked up by the Ragnarok.
And now Luminosity gonna have to back off. They've been really relying on Mass to be the initiator in these engagements. We haven't really seen JeffHindla being the primary source of jumping in. Sure, he's thrown a hammer here and there, but it hasn't been clean.
Pressure onto JeffHindla, a little bit of poke damage, but he's tanky enough to weather that. Supernova used there by Jeff as well. Sorry, by BaRRa there. Didn't actually find Zap, but Mast will. Hasn't got Ragnarok to follow up, and now they may turn on him.
That's actually a taunt onto Mast. He's in a lot of trouble right now. Gotta pop his Sanctuary, but the Smite! It's lined up. Best finds two at the start of the fight.
And now with the ultimate pop from JeffHindla, he's trying to weather the storm. Scary D on the backside as Xenotronics runs for his life away from DJ. DJ dashes in and Xeno will fall as well. 3 members dead for LG. It will be 4 momentarily as JeffHindla is surrounded and alone.
Only Scary D left alive. Eager almost wipe all of LG off the map. It's going to be a Gold Fury, and the best for me...
Gold Fury? More like a Fire Giant, thank you very much.
I mean, yeah, we're 32 minutes in. It is going to be a Fire Giant. But Best starts off 0-3, like just bad, not good positioning. Eager really lacking in wards, but he has been the star for me. Every single snipe has connected onto key players. That time finds 2, and Scary D, what are you doing?
He's
Walking into 4.
He's in a lot of trouble here, has no ultimate to escape. Divios gets credit for the kill. A deicide now for Eager, and a tier 2 tower as well.
It's going to be more than a tier 2. Still 8 seconds left for Mass and BaRRaCCuDDa to respawn. It's going to be a Phoenix, and I love what Eager are doing. They're actually splitting up the map. djpernicus, while this Phoenix is being taken, has already taken out the tier 1. Eager now don't have to worry about that. They're going to head straight to the tier 2. They could look to siege up this Phoenix on the left-hand side, but can we take a look at Golden Hand real quick? I'm assuming they're going to back to base. Yeah, 1,700 for everyone. They're going to play this safe, steal away the red buff. They're going to spin their gold and come back with a Fire Giant and Power Spike.
I swear, Best is just an ultimate monster. If you give him a god with a burst ultimate, he goes off of it. Giannis, Scylla, Ra, they're all the same sort of style.
I'd love an alt counter at this point because I don't think he's missed one. And multiple times in these team fights, he's hit 2+ people. That was the key to that right-hand side. He holds his ult until the second Mass jumps. Once Mass jumps, he knows exactly where he's going to be, lines him up, hits a second player as well, and the whole time, Zap is just pumping in pulse and irradiate damage.
This is just coming down to composition now, because LG got off to a great start in the early game. It was 5-2 at one point, and all the kills were going to the right players. Mask continued to try and do the same thing, but he started walking into a brick wall in the Eager composition.
And I think he's got to get some more magical protection online right now. He started up the tier 1 looking for an additional pestilence for his team, but instead went immediately into the Titan's Bane. Now he has the Mantle of Discord, which is going to help him out significantly. Obviously, when he gets below a certain threshold, he will stun players in a radius around him, but the issue is that Best is hitting those snipes, right? He's not going to be in that range. The kills are not coming from someone in melee range.
I am so excited that I get to see these two play another 3 times this weekend minimum, and one more in the next set as well, in the next game, I should say, as well.
I mean, it's not even just that. I mean, this is game 1 of an entire weekend of Smite action. We got 8 games a day right now, and Eager are starting off this group incredibly strong. 5th seed coming in. Now, we know I think they're a little bit stronger than their seeding might show, but they're going up against an LG that were so dominant in the online portions.
Well, this is another take on the double Guardian healer meta. This time it's going to be a Warrior and a Guardian, leading the troops in with a little bit more damage in the back.
Again?
And the snipe connects again, and BaRRa is forced back to base, as is Xenotronics. The damage dealers are gone.
They just ate it.
As is the Phoenix.
Best says, I don't even need any setup. I'm just going to hit you straight to the face, but his ultimate is down now, and Mass trying to clean up. He's going to be forced to purify, and Xeno doing so much damage in this fight.
Is up, and he's waiting in the sky right now, looking for an opportunity. He's going to get some, and now with that as well, Divios will pick up BaRRaCCuDDa, who came out to the fight. Scary D, alone on the back, has no ultimate to get away, looking for Zapman though, but he's surrounded by all the members as Eager collapse to peel and work as a unit.
Only a single Phoenix on the right-hand side left up, but there's a tower as well. Now, Eager, you can see they're trying to make a decision where they want to end or play it safe, and the decision, I think they wanted to play it safe, but then they're like, okay, let's just go in. They've got the fire wave. They've got 3 players to deal with. Only JeffHindla has his ultimate, and he's going to have to... Oh, no, it just ended.
1 second for Best. Snipe is up for Best as well. Will he be able to find another hit with this, or is he just going to look for the Titan? Collapsed on by Mass, but Mass is more power. He gave!
Again!
And the snipe comes through from Best another time. The game is over. Eager take first blood at Group B.
This whole time, I'm thinking it's going to be the Zap and BaRRa show, and it was the best show. To my count, I didn't see him miss a single snipe in that game. I think over half of them found 2+ players. Insane game coming out from him, especially after such a rough start, getting picked off 3 times, a little bit out of position. Great job by Master and JeffHindla to kind of put LG in a position to win, but what it came down to was that Raw, not only with the ultimates, but also the sustain baits. Eager just never took, like LG's like, please, come in, fight us at Gold Fury, fight us in the pit, but they never took the bait. Not once.
For me, BaRRaCCuDDa got the better of Zapman in that game, at the same time as Mask got the better of djpernicus, but the team of Eager got the better of Luminosity. Let's head over to the analysts and see what they have to say about Game 1.
Now that's how you start a weekend. Holy wow. I mean, honestly, that came out, we were talking, and Eager was getting beat up real hard in the early game, and then somehow they just turned it around. I mean, obviously some of the characters were a little bit more late game form, but what do you think was the turning point on that for Team Eager?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that LG kind of messed up with was they weren't really applying nearly as much pressure as I was expecting them to apply into that duo lane, and I think that they just felt comfortable after BaRRa got the solo kill onto Zapman. They might have felt like, okay, we can focus and put all of our attention into Best in that mid lane. But then slowly but surely, Eager started catching on. They started playing much more passive. They completely slowed down the pacing of that game, and I think that that was crucial in helping them come back.
Yeah, that was a big point for me as well. You just saw them sort of just stall the game. They understood that Luminosity was running the pace of that game. They were doing what they wanted. Every time Ra walked past that entrance to the jungle, absolutely smoked. They had a big jump combination, the 3 characters that could jump on top of Ra. But what happened was they pulled back, and then all of a sudden that stop and that reset of the game allowed Eager to go ahead and push forward and get aggressive themselves.
It was all about the waiting game right now. Eager were very comfortable waiting because they had Sobek out of Divios and the Erlang Shen, which had better crowd control than the Fafnir and the Soul Laner from Luminosity. So as a result now, the patience from TheBest right now, he just waited for everybody to group up out of Luminosity. He fired that down to lane and kept hitting multiple targets. Whether or not he found a kill, he forced Luminosity back constantly, and that was the reason why Eager got back into the game. The second Gold Fury was the important factor. Luminosity were just waiting too long, forced out the plays, and TheBest just capitalized as a result.
And it's interesting that TheBest is the one that was able to come back, because like Taco said, I mean, he was the one that was getting completely focused.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very surprised because Best honestly kept his cool, and I think that that was probably the most important part, was that he never seemed to get flustered, even though he was so behind from the get-go on this raw pick. For instance, like when we first saw his death, I was really concerned for him because watching that death at level 4, that is really, really bad for him, considering that Xeno on that Raijin, such an early snowballing god to begin with, he was able to have like a level and a half XP lead on Best, and I think that that was really difficult for them to deal with. So when they slowed down that pacing and Best just waited for those perfect team fights, he was such an important factor, the way that he was able to keep sustaining his team through these team fights. And I think that that's where LG started to slowly deteriorate, because there's really no way that you can out-sustain a raw composition, especially not once they got like hold of the FG.
There was a lot of plays also in the mid lane where djpernicus overextended a little bit. He baited himself out, and he stayed alive, very importantly, getting his ultimate off. That was a very crucial moment for Eager. And as a result, now, then they took a fight 5-on-5 once DJ came back into the mix, and there were a lot of cooldowns basically on cooldown for Luminosity, and Eager just took advantage.
And again, coming back to TheBest, 11,000 healing throughout the game, and you got to realize that he was not a factor at all in the early game, and really till the end of the mid game, I would say. The fact seeing that much healing when he was put down for that long is kind of crazy.
What's also pretty insane about that healing is that I think Best was actually topping for the player damage. He was actually leading on the player damage as well on that Raw.
We saw the Guan Yu ban coming out of Luminosity because they were worried about the healing coming out of Eager. I expect Raw to be banned right away from Luminosity, just no questions about it. They cannot allow this kind of composition, I would say, out of Eager.
Yeah, I mean, just... I mean, it's just comical at that point, right? TheBest just goes, boo, and I'm sure, looking at what JeffHindla was able to do on the Fafnir, not as much, obviously, but just the way TheBest was able to really dictate what happened in the late game. Having that healing available allowed the other characters like Zapman to actually go off and make some of the plays. And of course, watching that clip that we saw before, some of those snipes, I was sitting out there in our sort of viewing area of the arena, and the entire, even the camera guys that, you know, sort of get the game, they're just like, damn. The whole room went, ooh. He just kills 2 people with 1 snipe. Everything was just lined up perfectly.
Xenotronics was always on the receiving end of that snipe from TheBest. He had to back off at times. He couldn't put himself in a position where he was getting off his ultimate at times. In the mid game, it was just all about Best, and Xeno didn't have the same factor.
Yeah, just a little bit too strong.
Yeah.